Hey guys, welcome to my page, Black Lens. And I know I've been gone for a while. I've been busy doing a few things around. But hey, the good news is I'm back now, and I'm back for good. And today we're talking about joining the military and which one you want to go through. So people just think that everyone in the military is just the same. We all wear the same uniform, and at least that is how it appears to civilians. That is how it appears to civilians. And prior to me joining, I also thought so. I also thought everyone in the military is pretty much doing the same thing out there. But then you'll realize that once you join, there are categories in there, if I may want to put it like that. So, enlisted officers, and then in between somewhere we have warrant officers. So I'm going to talk about the ways of joining. So number one, so for example, enlisted, there's not much that you need to join the military as long as you have a clean record. You don't have any violations with the law, and you have a high school diploma or college credits. You can basically just walk into a recruiter's office, and then he'll take you through the process from the beginning to the end, and then you ship off to basic training and go do your basic military training in Lackland, San Antonio, and then graduate, and then continue to technical training. And once you are done, you graduate to technical training, so you move on to your first base, and then that's it. You are in the military, and then uh, yeah, you're a full-blown airman or soldier, seaman or marine, or whichever other branch you choose to go. That is enlisted for you. Now, on the flip side of it, you can also join to become an officer, which is very different from the average enlisted person. So, for example, um, you know how I said that enlisted you will need like a high school degree or college degrees, and you can join enlisted as a maximum rank of E3. So E3 is the highest that the military will allow you to join from college if you have certain amount of credits. But then on the officer side, the minimum requirement that you need is a bachelor's degree if you're coming from college. So high school doesn't apply, high school degree doesn't apply. There are other ways aside of just getting a bachelor's degree, but that is one of the minimum requirements for becoming an officer. And another route to becoming an officer is you can do ROTC programs. So I know many degree universities provide programs where like ROTC programs where you get you have the traditional experience of being in college, but at the same time you don't have all the freedom that a college person is supposed to have, because now you're partially in the military because you're in ROTC. You're partially in it, so you can't just go about doing things like uh, a casual civilian would do, because you know that this time round a set of rules and laws apply to you in person. So ROTC is a big one. You might want to find out with your college to see if ROTC programs are one of the things that they provide there. You can also do officer candidate schools. Now, officer candidate school is basically, so once you're done with your 4-year degree, like I said, you can apply for OTS with your bachelor's degree, and then the Air Force will look through whatever they look through their qualifications or standards or whatnot, and if they deem you qualified, you submit a package, and then boom, just like you go for basic military training, but this is basic military training for officers. So officers training school, you go over to that place, and then you go through your training, which is usually anywhere between 9 to 17 weeks, I believe, because the training for officers is a little more extensive than it is for enlisted. And we'll talk about that in a minute. We also have direct commissioning. So direct commissioning is a process whereby certain certain degrees, so like medical, like law, like uh, intel, like IT, like those degrees that are deemed to be very hard to come by. Those degrees, if you have them, you can just submit a package straight, and then the Air Force will pick you, and basically you just work for the Air Force. It's that simple with degrees like that. Just because their jobs are considered a little higher than the average job. So obviously, I mean, I know all jobs are important and whatnot, but we we just we just put doctors and judges in a certain category as compared to like like a real estate person, or like a businessman or whatever. I mean, those are very important jobs, but then when it comes to judges, doctors, intel analysts, like all these ones are classified into like a little bit higher category. So those jobs are one of the easiest way of getting into the Air Force as an officer. Transitioning from enlisted to become an officer, of which personally I find to be the best route to go. Because reason why I say that is, if you join as an enlisted person, right, you gather experience. So as an enlisted person, right from the bottom, you gather all the knowledge, all the experience before you submit a packet and become an officer. So it's like, let me give you an example. Say someone is in a company, right? He started from the bottom all the way to the top. Now, usually such individuals, when they become like managers or whatever, they tend to understand the younger troops very well, because they came from that path to become what they are. So they have that experience of going through the ranks all the way to know what each person is facing at each rank before they becoming managers. So they provide better knowledge, better assistance, better help, if you may want to put it that way. But the other good side of being an enlisted before becoming an officer is that the paycheck. So a regular officer gets, like a new officer right out of school, gets about $3,000 a month, or yeah, $3,000 a month. And a new E3 from school gets about like $1,200 a month, or $1,400 a month, one of them. Yeah, so it's just basically officers have twice more what the enlisted are paid. Yeah, so enlisted people just have the job experience, and they get paid a little higher than the average officer that is coming in. So if you're just from college joining OTS and just becoming an officer, an enlisted person gets paid a little bit more, I think about $500 more than you, just because of the experience they have of being an enlisted person, because they already have the knowledge of the military already. They just are becoming an officer. So I already talked about education. Enlisted, you can come in with high school or college degree, associate degree, any form of degree is fine, acceptable by enlisted. But with officers, you can only come in through your bachelor's. So bachelor's is a big one. Is one of the basic requirements. Thirdly, I would like to talk about paychecks. So paychecks differ. Base pay differs a lot. So I know that the average that a colonel, which is a rank in the officer segment, the colonel makes about $90,000 a year, depend on special pay and bonuses and all those things, come together and make about $80,000 to $90,000 a year. That is a thing. In my opinion, I think it's decent money. It's enough money to hold you up. But an enlisted person that you may want to compare on that same rank might be making about 50,000 or 60,000 in base pay and other pays in addition. So this is just a rough estimate to give you an idea how much more officers are paid than enlisted people. And the reason why it is like that is because the kind of responsibilities that are on the shoulders of officers. Not saying that enlisted is carefree, they don't really have anything to do. As a matter of fact, enlisted do most of the job, right? But officers are in the position of making the big changes. Do you understand? So an officer can be in a position where he's in charge of a fleet of like F-15s, so like about 10 F-15s, and each of them, maybe I might be exaggerating a bit, but each of them costing like say $1 billion for a fighter plane, and he's in charge of a fleet of 10, so that is $10 billion worth of fighting equipment just on the shoulders of one man. So it comes down with so much responsibility, but at the same time, on the other side, enlisted person, yes, he might not be in charge of the planes in particular, but then he's in charge of everyone that makes the plane work. So maintainers, electricians, those who clean the planes, those who fuel the planes, all these things. Yep, an enlisted person is in charge of the people that make that one plane work. But at the end of the day, the officer is in charge of the fleet of planes. So if something goes wrong, yes, they might hold the enlisted person accountable, but the main problem falls on an officer. So see, let me make it easy for you. If you don't really like to be in leadership positions, enlisted is the route to go. Not saying that there is not leadership positions in not saying that there's no leadership positions in enlisted, but then you can be a leader in the enlisted. So we have NCOs, pretty much do almost the same job as officers do, but then they are non-commissioned officers. So that is the difference. So officers are commissioned officers, and NCOs are non-commissioned officers. In the enlisted, officers are just officers in the officers category. Yeah. So and NCOs are very well respected. They have the experience. Because look at it this way: when new lieutenants come out from officer training school, right from college, they did your training, came out. Most of them don't know the job. Yeah, they don't have the experience, so they rely heavily on the NCOs from the enlisted to know their job very well, and they rely on the senior NCOs from the enlisted to know their job very well. So in actuality, officers might have the rank and the title, but enlisted has the work experience. Does that make sense? They know how the facility runs. They know everything about it. But officer might be the person with the duty title. So it just depends. If you don't see yourself being a leader, of having the responsibility to be accountable for worth so much equipment that are worth billions and billions of dollars, you just don't want to deal with that headache and that pressure. You can find yourself in the enlisted, and you can still be a leader. You can be an NCO, you can be a senior NCO. They are very well respected. But then officers, very well respected, but they are just two different categories. Enlisted is just here, officers are here. Paycheck is a huge difference, and the way you join is a huge difference too. So, because I've seen enlisted people with PhDs, with master degrees. They could have easily become officers, but they choose not to. Some just don't want the headache of having to be accountable for billions of dollars. And some people are naturally born with wanting to have the headache of being accountable for these amount of things. So it just depends on the individual. Standards. So officers are held to a different standard. Officers are held to way higher standard. So something that they might just give a paperwork for an enlisted person, an officer may do the same thing, and his whole career is ruined. So if you been in the military for a while, when you look at officers, they're like more like saints. They are like by the book. It's like every time strict. Some even it's like they are just so cautious every single time. That is the lifestyle. They are so cautious about everything. But enlisted people are the ones that are doing the job in teams, are having fun, not having fun in the bad way, but they are not looking over their shoulders to, like, we are just doing the thing as the team, we're enjoying the teamwork, the spirit, we're just enjoying it. But officers are usually a one-man thing. Yeah, because you might get to a big facility and enlisted people are just a group of teams doing, and then officer is just one person in charge of all that enlisted people. So he's a one-man, one-job type of thing. So if you don't like to be the office, tucked in front of your computer, sitting at a desk all day, you're just not that type of person, and you prefer to be the more hands-on type of person. So the person that is fixing the GPS on the planes, the person that is into the mechanics of the planes, the person that is into just hands-on doing the thing by themselves, then enlisted is for you. If you are the type of person that just want to be in the office all the time, looking serious on your computer, doing paperwork, working long hours, then officer is for you. So I'm guessing you guys don't know, and I'd like you to use this platform to like kind of put it out there. So if I'm not doing military stuff, I'm a photographer. I do that as a part-time in addition to YouTube that I do to try to help people that have people that just want to join the military, or just want to see how the whole military organization works, or just want to follow me while I travel around from duty station to duty station. Whatever your case is for wanting to be part of this page, I appreciate it and I welcome you to my page. Yeah, so if I'm not doing military stuff, I do photography on the side. You can check out my page. It's Black Lens, the same spelling you find on YouTube, BLAC_lens. On Instagram, yeah, I have a community there also. I call my followers, not followers per se, I like to say the community, because everyone contributes and just makes everything looks awesome and beautiful. So yep, if Instagram is something you do, hey man, I'll appreciate it if you can check out on my page, look at my pictures. Any of them interest you, don't forget to click like, smash the button, and double tap whatever we do nowadays, and don't forget to leave a comment if you want to communicate something to me, or you just admire one of my works, and I'll appreciate it a lot. So yep, I just wanted to throw this in just in case people didn't know. So yep, that wraps it up for today, looking at the differences between officers and enlisted. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, or if it provided any new information for you. Don't forget to like it, and don't forget to subscribe also, so you guys can be the first to receive notifications anytime I post a video, because we are building a military community here. Not saying that our civilian counterparts are not invited, but we're just building a community where people who aspire to want to join the military can have their issues solved, their questions answered, and all of that. Don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section below if you enjoyed this video.